Hello, 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 and welcome to Lead What You Live podcast with Tina Lizzio. That's me. And I have a very, very special guest. Again, I have a very special guest today, the one and only Remi Lizzio, my only daughter. And I am so excited to have her here today talking about all things life, love, leadership, faith, family, fitness, all kinds of things. She's 21 years young.
Yes. Hi. Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yes, it's so exciting. So we spoke about this when I was going to start my Lead What You Live. And so no better person. I kicked this off with your great grandmother, your 92-year-old grandmother, leading with a legacy. And
Which was amazing.
Amazing, right? All the details that she still remembers it.
Yes, it's crazy.
92.
Yeah.
So thank you, Remi. Thank you for being open to this. And so what I want you all to know is that my daughter had asked me, so Mom, like, what are the questions that you have for me? Like, what do you want to talk about? What questions? And like other interviews that I have done, not just with this podcast, but other type of live events and conversation, I don't like to do script. Yeah. So I like having a general conversation and seeing where it goes. And I think that's the way it flows best, and seeing what to evoke from the guest.
I
so
agree.
We just had all general. We're going to talk about love, life, and leadership, and let's see where it goes.
Let's do it.
So my girl is also an air sign. For those of you who are into astrology, she is an Aquarian. She is, and I am a Gemini. She was born January 31st, 2003. Just 19 months behind her older brother, Michael, and she is sandwiched between two brothers, her younger brother, Julian, who's not quite 2.5 years younger. So I had these three kids in exactly 48 months, and it has been a ride, and all three of you in college this past year. So we just got back from an epic time together in Florence, Italy. She studied abroad. She's currently at Florida State University, honors business and psychology major, and got to have the experience of studying abroad in Firenze for the semester.
Firenze.
I studied abroad in France at the University of Nice my junior year. So when she had expressed an interest in studying abroad, I was happy to support that, and I went to join her just a couple weeks ago. And spent some time in Italy as we've wrapped up the semester. Yes. So, Remi, I don't even know where to begin. What I think I would like people to know, too, it's so interesting as a mother, is that you and your brothers all demonstrate examples of being exactly the same characters that you were when you were little. Right? And your father loves to tell the story that when you were 2 years old and it was time to give up the binky, he said, you're going to give up the binky now that you're 2 years old, you're a big girl. You went and handed it right over to him. You were in the crib standing there and being a supporter and compliant. And
he loves to tell that story.
He loves to tell that story. Yeah. But you were really, truly a sweet angel. No colic out of you. You were sweet, and you would take your naps in the swing every day. That's the way you like to take your naps, in the swing. Born in Red Bank, New Jersey, actually. Born in New Jersey. And so here we are. But we moved to South Florida when you were 2. So you pretty much grew up in Boca Raton, Florida. So tell me, as your father and I divorced right after your 7th birthday, and you know that your grandparents, my parents, divorced right after I was 6. I, of course, am the firstborn, but you are the middle between your two brothers. And so what are sort of your earliest memories after that, at the time of divorcing? You're a second grader and 7 years old?
Well, that's what almost just made me laugh. You've said before, reminded me how that was first grade back then, and at the time, it upset me that I was the only one in my class who had divorced parents now. So that, I guess, at the time was upsetting, but I think looking back now, after all these years, it because I was so young and I adapted to it, it's a lot easier than a lot of people whose parents get divorced at an age like mine or within the last few years. And I have a lot of friends that that's happened to, and it's harder to deal with. So, but back to that, and I was so young. So I remember starting to go back and forth. And at that age, there isn't too many things in my life altogether that I remember. But yes, I do remember, the first time going to dad's new house and getting into that routine of, having a bag brought back and forth and
50-50 between mom and dad.
yeah, dropping the three of us off and, getting whatever I need together. And I think just that routine at that age just continued to make me as independent as I am now and just adapt to that situation. And the two of you co-parented that so well, still do. So have
Thank
a
you.
lot to still be grateful for. And yeah.
Yeah, I remember your older brother, Michael, being upset hearing about that when we were getting divorced. It's not easy at any age to tell your kids that you're, going to split. And you are, sort of that beautiful grace personified, and you're in between your two brothers and you're wanting to always make sure you're connected with both of them, make sure that they're okay. And you said to your older brother was upset at the idea he wasn't going to be able to see his best friend next door who lived
Yeah.
next door, and that's what he was thinking about at 8, 9 years old.
Right.
And you said, "Well, don't worry, Michael. You'll be able to have your two bedrooms, and you can paint that room a different color." And
Exactly. That's what
and
matters, right? I
ex-
know that excited me. I'll tell you that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So resiliency. Absolutely, all three of you are super super resilient, and yeah, that probably does make a difference that you were very you were young at the time. You took up sports young, so we had you trying different things, a little gymnast,
Yes.
and at 3, 4 years old and going into competitions, and I think you realized real quickly with very tough instructors at like 6 or 7 years.
Remember that.
Yeah, so
Brutal. Yeah.
as an individual sport too, the competition being tough and eyes on you when it's individual performance like that versus
Totally.
a team sport.
Yeah.
But you made the decision. You didn't feel like you needed to stay with it just because you were good at it. You expressed, not wanting to do the gymnastics anymore and trying some team sports. And
Right.
that's when you started soccer. How old were you when you started to play soccer?
Probably 5 or so, but I started the same travel team I was on for almost 10 years at 7, I would say.
Yeah,
I think 7, yeah.
yeah. And so talk about that. Talk about the journey of 10 years travel soccer
Yeah,
and what you learned about
all
life
of
and
it.
friendship and camaraderie and
I absolutely love soccer. I still do. I always will. I think having that experience is definitely a big part of who I am. And that team that I played on, I was with the same coach and the same teammates who I became super close with and still are close to a lot of them. Same surrounded by the same people for all those years, and it was just so routine. It was such a big part of my normal life. And as I was getting older, I continued to love it, and it kind of just season after season, it was, I was good at it, that I know.
yes.
So the talent was there, and why not? I kept playing year after year, and as I got older, I think I just started to become aware of, what exactly I wanted out of it, what it meant to me, And again, I absolutely am so thankful for that experience and how it shaped me as a person from playing soccer all those years. But the reason I didn't end up going through with it in college was I just started to realize I wanted a different kind of experience. As I was getting older, I loved it for the fun of it, but I didn't want to continue it in through college. I think just because, and as high school came about and I started to realize I was kind of missing out on some things, and I'm just a social person. I, like
Can't
to go out.
imagine being my
Yeah.
daughter being social.
So, with that, and I think, like you, or obviously in so many other ways, I admire things about you and want to be like you. But I knew that in college, things that you had done were be a part of a sorority, study abroad, and I think those two things specifically, regardless of where I ended up picking to go to
Yeah.
school, those were things I wanted to be a part of and experience. And I knew that doing soccer was gonna hold me back from doing those things, and just really a lot of things. It kind of dictates your whole schedule in college and dictates your experience. And I know that the team that I had been on for all those years, a lot of them did feel like family to me, and I knew that I would feel that way in college too and love it. I think that's a thing about me that regardless of what, circumstance I'm in, I would have made the most of it and loved it. But I think I just knew when to say goodbye to it. So
You were starting to think about that at the end of sophomore year, I think around
yeah.
15. And
Well,
you saw your older brother was already early committed to North Carolina for lacrosse. So
yeah.
you know, you
I
had,
think everything happens for a reason, and just kind of the way my organization fell through, and a lot of my team had to, join a new team, and a lot of them did. But that was definitely a turning point for me. It was the end of my sophomore year when, the following year I'm starting to take SATs and really focus about school, start to think about college. At this point, I mean, seeing Michael get recruited at such a young age, I was very aware that, these top athletes and they get recruited very young, regardless of what those rule changes were. If you're a star, you're probably getting looked at and visiting a bunch of schools. So by the time you're, end of sophomore year, it's not like you're just getting the ball rolling. So that was another thing. I knew the timeline of things, and not that again I wasn't capable of it, but I just think the way everything worked out and the certain club I was in and the exposure I got, and XYZ. But yeah, at that was a point where I started just rethink things, and
you wanted to
I wanted
play
to play high school
high school
soccer,
soccer.
which I
Yeah.
didn't get to do with my previous team, freshman and sophomore year, and that bummed me out. So, joining a new team, it allowed me to do that, and that was a great experience. So, I'm very glad I got to do that. And I enjoyed it
You
those
took
last
on the
years of
leadership role
high school.
there.
Yeah. So, I was captain of that
Yep.
team, and I loved it. And I felt like there was no pressure on me with that. I just enjoyed it for what it was. And, I was going to go school, I was going to go to school, without soccer. And that was that. So I think
Yeah.
it was just kind of not that I continued doing it all those years because someone else other than me wanted to do it. I always wanted to. But I think when I decided not to, that was just the
I
time
remember
would
it had been
happen.
10 years and you made that decision. So there was a moment as a parent like, oh wow, 10 years and all of the
Hmm.
tournaments and the travel and now you want to pause, but it was such a mature decision to make and to want to
Yeah.
again be part of the have the high school experience and leadership there because with travel sports,
Hmm.
you can't always do both,
Hmm.
depending on the sport.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about some of the big key takeaways. So you said you learned a lot in that experience. What are some of the key takeaways from playing sports? For those parents out there that have kids, you're contemplating putting your kids who have young kids, putting kids into sports.
Yeah. I think there's so much, but I think first of all, the fact that it was such a big part of my routine. I mean, for all those years, every day of the week I'd go to practice and I was balancing it with school and then games on the weekend, and a lot of the time they were away. So, as you get older, just you're balancing these responsibilities. It's, a time management thing, like how to I mean, I always
Yeah.
put academics first, we all, as if you kind of put that on us as much as good as you are, school is important and focus on that, but balancing the two things. And, for parents, I think for their kids, it's really good to see like the camaraderie their kids have with people on the team. I mean, it's a different kind of relationship that you have with people you play sports with, I would say, than any other friendships and relationships you have. Kind of just being there out on the field together and really, you all have the same goal. You all really
No pun
want.
intended with goals.
Yes, yeah, exactly. um, you're all trying to win this game together and fight together. And it's, again, so different than the different friends I have from school or from camp. And so that experience is really special. So I think a lot in friendships and just growing as a person, just being disciplined and hardworking towards something, just very different
And the
than.
value of physical fitness.
Right.
So playing sports young too, now at 21, and you've been, finished for 5 years.
Yeah.
You could have continued to care to work out and to stay in shape, or pick up tennis or pickleball, or play soccer for fun. You're playing soccer over there with the kids in
Italy,
the Florida State program over there in Italy.
Yeah. So exactly, I can't imagine. After I had kind of stopped, it was like, wow, that was the natural exercise without,
Exactly.
with the soccer that I was getting, but it definitely influenced me to stay, in shape and regularly exercise in one way or another. So totally.
And that helps too. I mean, we do have an obesity epidemic in the country. And so, and it starts with kids, with diet, and the diet and exercise, and sort of starts young. And so playing sports and staying active, especially, again, tech advancements, right?
Right.
All the technology, people are more sedentary, kids on their phones and their iPads and everything. So having the balance of playing sports
Yeah.
and, eating better
Right.
and exercise, I feel that really stuck with you.
Yes. Totally.
The importance of that. Talk about, you had the benefit and gift of going to sleepaway camp up in an all-girls camp up on Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire for 5 years. And so that's an experience. You were how old? 10? After fifth grade?
So I guess 11. Yeah.
10,
For
11,
5
11.
summers I went, starting at 11.
And now that's now a whole new group,
Yes.
which you got to play sports there, of course. But, you're away from home. Now you're 11 years old and you're going away for 6-8 weeks for the summer, and now it's a whole new group of friends.
Right.
A lot of them are from the Northeast. And so how about that experience, and how does that shape your views on life and leadership and friendship?
Yeah. That I think was another example of how I was kind of just not afraid to try something new. I had gone to day camp for many years, and then, had a friend who went, and I was like, yeah, I want to try this. And I absolutely love sleepaway camp. So that was another thing that I'm super grateful you were able to provide the experience for me. And like back to what you said about the technology nowadays, that experience is so great for that reason. I think is one
No
of the
phones
big
the whole
one.
summer.
Yeah, I think it's so nice. It's so removed to go up there and, no phone, no nothing. Just, you're getting up. There's a routine set out for you, sports, activities. You're out on the lake and, with all of your friends in one bunk with these bunk beds in a cabin. It's such a great experience, really. I think it's to have your kids try it out is a great idea. And yeah, I think having the no phones and no technology was great, but I did make some great friends there. Definitely a different group again from the soccer, of course, and friends I had back at home. A lot of my camp friends were from other states, a lot of them from the Northeast, New York, and I'm always have been, so I have different friends, as do you.
Yeah.
We relate on that.
Yes.
But yeah, having different friends from different places and having different friendships, but
You learn
ones that
from
add
different
value,
people.
yeah, in different ways to your life is really special. So I had, got different things out of my friendships with my camp friends who I still stay in contact with. And Yeah. So,
Beautiful. And then, of course, the high school friends, and that I'm so proud of you because you earned the full Bright Futures
yes, thank you.
scholarship. So you're 4 years of, college
Hmm.
minus all of the funds to travel
Right.
around for Europe for a couple of months and go to all of the different countries that you were able to go to
Yeah,
since January when you left. And I knew you were going to have an amazing experience, and you're
I
just
did.
back from
Hmm.
that. And
Yes.
so, what are some highlights from now? What's your perspective? You're out of the country for
Hmm.
the and was that your first time out of the country? Well, you had been to the Bahamas, but
Oh, yeah, and Canada
we had been on
I've
a
been
cruise
to, but
before to the Caribbean.
yeah, outside of those couple things,
But
not to
so
Europe.
now
Yeah.
you're in Europe and
Hmm.
you're there for several months.
Yes.
So what are some highlights about the
Yeah.
people, the food, the fashion, the culture, the other
Yeah.
countries?
It was definitely, I mean, I kind of had an idea of what to expect, but again, I hadn't ever been to Europe. So, got off the plane and I was moving there for 4 months. So, kind of a little overwhelming, but very exciting. And I couldn't wait to make the most and do as much as I can during those 4 months. It's definitely different. I mean, just where I lived, the atmosphere, such old history and architecture and all the things. Whereas here, it's everything's so modernized now. People just go about their days in different ways. I noticed, I feel like in America here, people are so, revolving around their work and what's next. How can I make more money? How can I make the most amount of money possible? Living to work. But in Europe, I noticed it's a lot more relaxed and people are making what they make. And as if they can afford their lifestyle, great. It's just they're working to live and that's fine. And, a lot of family business, a lot of the restaurants I went into were run by families. So
Versus corporations?
multi-generational. Yeah. So a lot of tradition, a lot of family there. So I appreciated. These were things I kind of had an idea I'd get a feel for, but being there and just really appreciating every moment of it was really cool. And just listening to the other language, loved the Italian language. Wish I actually learned more of it, but it was great to kind of just be intertwined with it all and, be a tourist, but also just have it be a home for me for a few months.
Base
So,
camp.
yeah,
Base
exactly.
camp for your classes
Exactly.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then
Exactly.
Thursday we're off on
Yeah.
a lot of weekends. Any
Yes.
other highlights? So you went to London, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Madrid, Barcelona,
Paris.
Lisbon, Paris. Oh, Valentine's weekend. We didn't
Yes.
get to your boyfriend
But
of
I did
five
do that.
years that you got to go to Valentine's for your 5 year. We should all
Yes.
learn from these younger kids today.
But yes.
Beautiful. And so, that was a highlight. I'm sure you skied. You skied at Chamonix in the French Alps,
That was
Interlaken,
awesome.
and
Yeah.
where were you in Switzerland?
Interlaken,
Yeah,
Switzerland. Yeah.
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 That's
Beautiful.
amazing. Amazing. So very diverse. And then we went to Amalfi Coast, Positano, did that
Great way to
hike,
end it. Yes.
the
That was
hike from
awesome.
Praiano to Positano, took the ride over to Capri, and back in Florence. So it was great for me as a mother, seeing my daughter now leading me around. I'm in Florence and she is running the show. She's making all the plans. We're going here, we're going there.
Yes.
And I had been to Florence. I hadn't been there in probably 25 years,
Long
but
time.
it was a long time
Yeah.
since I had been specifically in that city.
Hmm.
And so it just made me really smile seeing you at 21 and just, a leader wherever you go and the groups of friends, the incredible, the way that you connect, with people and your openness to all different types of people and cultures and what you can learn. And so I'm
Thank you.
really, really proud of you for that as the example that you are. You are, and we are in the same sorority. We are sorority
Yes.
sisters, a mother
Theta.
and
Theta,
daughter,
baby.
Kappa Alpha Theta. So I was a Theta, University of Maryland, and I did not put any pressure on you to join that sorority. I knew
No,
that
you
they had a
didn't.
chapter at Florida State, and well, I thought, well, that would be wonderful if she had that experience too, but not an expectation.
Right. I
And so,
was I was definitely open minded, but kept that in the back of my head. It was hard not to be a little bit biased, if I was going through
legacy.
recruitment and, I knew Theta was I knew of some girls in it, and I thought it was good and whatnot. So that made me more biased, but I was open minded, so it just worked out. It worked
Right.
out that way.
And you
Yeah,
love it.
I
And
do.
you lived in this or moved into the sorority house back in September for the fall. You will head back there in August.
Yes,
You were the recruitment director for the incoming
I
group
was.
last year, and so you took on that role in recruitment. It's very interesting because you're going to have an incredible experience, I know, in New York this summer,
Yes.
working in talent acquisition in a recruiting firm in Manhattan this summer. And so it's great. You know, it's a real application when you combine that business with psychology,
Right.
and that's a big topic in today. One of the biggest breakdowns in leadership today, and there's aspects of uh, uh, communication, effective communication, but it's also a lack of awareness, a
Right.
lack of self-awareness.
Mhm.
And so having these skills, having these learning these, having the education
Mhm.
and the learning, I like to impart all that I can to you. Um, and I appreciate that you are also open to
Mhm.
receiving. It really brought tears to my eyes. I know one of your essays that you wrote
Mhm.
for college, the prompt I think was, what was the prompt?
It was something along the lines, I don't remember specifically, but kind of just who inspires you, who's someone in your life who inspires you and why, or who's your role model. Something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did write about you.
I didn't know you were
Uh,
writing about me, but you
Until after
shared
the
it with
fact.
me.
Yes. Yeah, I really liked that essay. I thought it was an easy answer. It didn't take me long to think of it, when I read the prompt. And there there's so many things I can say. I think as you talk about, the importance of a mother-daughter relationship and just navigating through life, there's so much to learn from you. There's so many things a lot of people can learn from you, but I would say it's just very inspiring to see how you've carried yourself and how you go through your career and raise kids and relationships. Like all of these things are things I've learned from you, how I balance relationships, how I deal with things in my relationships that come up, friendships, personal relationships and academics, if I need guidance, what should I do? I know you were helping me kind of go through majors I should pick in college and just giving me different insight. You have so much insight on so many things. And I think that's what makes you a great coach. Your experiences in life give you such good insight that you can provide to people about so many different things. So I know you like talk about health. That's very important to you. You're very fit and you take care of yourself, and as you showed, just totally awesome. And your relationships with people, and of course wealth you talk about too, how to make
Financial freedom is
right, to have
important.
freedom financially and provide the life for yourself that you want. So these things are so inspiring to learn from you, as I have all these years and
My
continue
trifecta of
to.
health, wealth, and
Exactly.
relationships that I speak
Exactly.
into. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that essay, it kind of was just touching on how there's so much to learn in every aspect of my life. You're super independent. I think I've come to be that way because of you. You don't depend on anyone. You're confident in what you do. You're sure of yourself. And those are things that I want to be as I get older and find what I specifically want to do in my life. So, yeah, I know I you brought this up that I kind of referred to you as a female Tony Robbins, and I think that's totally true. I can totally see it. So, yeah,
Thank you,
you're
because he's an
awesome.
OG
Yes.
in the space. I say to I've had many of my friends have had challenging times with their daughters, especially when they hit puberty and middle school and high school years, and it's challenging. And my relationship wasn't always easy either with
Mhm.
your grandmother, with my mother,
Yeah.
and so for me, it really mattered have with my only daughter to and my sons and your brothers
Mhm.
but to the important role of mother
Yeah.
and prioritizing. So even though your father and I got divorced when you kids were 9, 7, and 5,
Mhm.
conscious co-parenting mattered to me. I mean, that
Yes.
was first and foremost. And so with kids, yes, both of us working and kids in travel sports and,
Mhm.
sharing custody back and forth, it's
Mhm.
a job in and of itself. And it's possible.
100%.
It just really shows
Right.
it is possible.
And people are so, they admire that we can do holidays together and our family, you co-parent very well and you get along, which a lot of parents don't nowadays, and it does make it really tough for the kids. So I hear about, the dynamics of so many people and friends that have divorced parents, and it's just not as easy. So the two
Yes.
of you have made it such, a doable situation, a very easy situation for us to grow up in, and it's worked very well. So,
Yes, and you kids, we've always been sensitive to,
mhm,
again, you being the priority. So, the different relationships I've had
mhm,
since we got divorced. Your father's been in a long time relationship for more than a decade to a wonderful woman,
mhm,
and so yeah, we do Modern Family, right? We do Modern
exactly.
Family. It includes my extended family, and
Yeah.
that's I think it's a and how do you think that that's possible?
Well, I think it goes along with both of your characters, but like you said, you were in agreement with dad that the priority is the three of us, and when that holds true and you really do make it about the kids, I don't think it should be that hard to, be in agreement about things and figure out what's best for us and how to best to make everything work with the schedules and this and that. So I think for that reason, I think you both handled it maturely.
Yeah.
When you get divorced, you're still focused on the kids solely, but there's so many things going on, and your careers and new relationships you may come into, and just respecting each other. There's definitely,
Hugely
yeah,
important. Yeah, I mean,
right.
he is, your father and responsible. I
Mhm.
would not take all the credit for the amazingness that the three
Mhm.
of you are, for sure. Had
Mhm.
his support, and I'm grateful. And not all women, not all mothers would say
Right.
that they've had that support, or fathers
Mhm.
sometimes, it's they don't
Right.
have that. I'm it just we didn't have a battle. There was no battling teen years.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
and so many have asked me why, what is the secret, what is the, my daughter's driving me crazy.
Mhm.
I think it's not really one thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just prioritizing, caring to know,
Mhm.
asking the questions, and being in tuned
Right.
with what you need
Right.
also. I
Mhm.
think that really matters. I think we are so distracted and consumed, and a lot of parents are very absorbed in their own, again, in work and the responsibility. Money
Right.
does matter, and things
Mhm.
cost money, and raising
Right.
kids costs a lot of money. And so people do get absorbed in their mothers and fathers, in their work or their other relationships after,
Mhm.
after a divorce as single parents, and these
Mhm.
things get in the way of making the kids the priority, and not
Right.
not asking questions, I think, and being in tuned.
Yeah, and I think following that, it just goes both ways, showing that you care and asking the questions and listening, and you know wanting to actually know what's going on in the lives of your kids. Then they in turn feel more comfortable going to you without you even asking and telling you things, and wanting to share.
No,
And
not punishing.
yeah, right. So, and I think I speak for me and me, Michael, and Joy, and I know that we all, you've always asked and cared and listened, and we all feel comfortable talking to you about anything. So I think it's a two-way street, but of course it could start with the parents, and then in turn the kids are that way, and I guess that's what kind of eliminates issues. Maybe is, I guess, when the parents are distracted by their own things, and then it's just they don't really know what's going on, and that's why the issues start and they fight, and things like
A
that.
lack of awareness.
Yeah.
Just not
Yeah.
paying
Paying
attention.
attention.
It's
Yeah.
my book, Pay Attention,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I passed that down to my daughter. Many who know me have heard me talk about this before, that her grandmother, when my younger sisters and I were growing up, said, I have two words for you for success, no matter what path you choose, what you choose in life, and that's pay attention. Just if you just pay attention to what you're doing, what's being said and not said, the energy, the emotions, your surroundings, the details,
Right.
the details of your life.
Yeah.
You pay attention.
And that's why I know you like psychology too, but that's why I'm so intrigued by it and chose to study it because it is very interesting to see how people are in general and how they don't pay attention to a lot of things. So it's just funny that, people are so distracted that they don't remember
And you'll call me
things.
out if I'm not
Mhm.
paying attention.
I will. I will. Because I know
Mom, I
and you're
just
not.
lost you for a second.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Remi.
Yeah.
I'm a queen multitasker, and right now I'm totally focused. Give me 1 second.
It happens. It's
It
okay.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
super on top of paying attention. Within your organization, your sorority, with all of these, what new did you discover up there? You're up in Tallahassee, and it's yet another whole new group
Yeah.
of girls. You become part of a club, and you're away at college now. And so, what's needed in leadership? What are the things that could really benefit young women today that you don't really either didn't get from parents growing up or educators in school, and now you see if what type of leadership skills and relationship skills, and you think about that, about again matters of money or health and fitness and different relationship dynamics. Many of these things are not taught.
Yeah. I think it kind of goes back to the listening. I think being a good leader, as much as it's, having the right things to say and guidance and insight, it's also just knowing when to listen and listening well. So, you're leading all these people, but they want to be heard. They want to, feel like their needs and wants are being met and things like that. So I think a good leader listens well. Um, so I think young women and anyone today wants a leader like that. It's kind of knowing when to sit back and listen, um, but also when to speak and give your 2 cents because you are the leader at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, and kind of just being a team player. It's not all about you, it's about everyone collectively. So, speaking in the best interest of everyone and being adaptable with what comes your way. And I kind of, as I think about my sorority, and I had a position, I was recruitment director.
This is challenging. There's some of the things that you're aware of as American, mostly American, but
Yeah, but I
American
think
girls on a
it's
college university, and
right. Because also in that way, I'm leading my chapter of 200 women, but a lot of them are my age, some were older than me at the time, and so trying to not step on people's toes too much, just listen and you know hear everyone out. Kind of as much as you're a leader, we're all in the same sorority. We want the same things at the end of the day, especially at a recruitment. So really making it known to everyone that I want their opinions. I want to hear from other people. I'm listening to what you think about this. So I would say that, and kind of just making it fun, not taking everything so seriously.
oh yeah,
I think is a big thing in life. Just, when you're so harsh about everything and just in a bad mood and just no one wants a boss or a leader like that. So sometimes just lightening up a little bit and not taking everything so seriously was another thing that made that experience more fun for me and everyone else.
I think
And
people are
yeah,
more receptive,
yeah,
when you
right.
are open, listening. What about feedback? Being open to others' input, you
Yeah,
know?
I think that's huge, especially for a leader. I think if their willingness to get feedback, if they take it in a way that's appreciative of the person giving them feedback, I think that's a very positive thing. Not just thinking you're right about everything, because everyone can always improve in one way or another. So getting feedback, and I think it sticks with you too. I Last summer I interned um, at this company, and as you know, and one of the coaches, I guess you could call her mentor, she was their people operations coach there, and she was just giving feedback to the interns. It's not like we asked for it. It's just like, I forget what exercise or activity we were doing before that, where she gave us feedback afterwards. But just one of the things she said was, and it was only me and two other interns. So I kind of tended to, from the start of the internship, just give my opinion first. Someone would ask, what to do in this situation, or ask some kind of question, and I
Me,
I don't know.
me, I have
I'm
the
more,
answer.
I would, because I'm not shy, and I'm not, so I guess felt confident in my answers, and I notice that people around me are hesitant to speak up first. I don't care. So I would do that, but one of her, her feedback to me was just don't always be the first to say something. Just sometimes don't speak first, sit back and listen to what other people are saying, and you can learn from what they say, and
Absolutely.
and you can, and then in turn have a better answer. So even that little like one feedback that I got from that summer still stuck
Valuable.
with me, and I think it's great to, sometimes your perspective is a little bit different in ways than how other people view you.
When you
So
hear too, it
yeah,
can
it's
it
eye
can
opening.
change your viewpoint of the direction you want to go. So if you're a
Right.
leader and there's a decision to make, if you haven't taken into consideration the perspectives
Yeah.
of others, Simon Sinek who's a leadership coach, has a great start with why, the infinite game, and also leaders eat last.
Right.
And so talking about how, when you're in a boardroom and giving everyone a chance, you're having a conference, you're having your regular meetings, but giving everyone in the group a chance to speak and value their input. And then ultimately, the leader gets to make a decision,
Right.
with the input from the collective. And so would you say, where do you see biggest breakdowns? Like in female friendships, where's the drama? When there is drama and there are issues.
Uh, well, I would say in my experience, honestly, I think the drama comes from this talking behind each other's backs a lot of the time, I think, and then it ends up, someone finds out, or I don't know. It's kind of a build up because you don't confront each other from the beginning about why you're bothered by the other person. So I don't know. I think I'm not as much like that. I don't think it's a rudeness thing at all. I've just always felt that I'm more honest and upfront with my friends, even like right in the moment. And if they're doing something, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, or
Call them
I'm
out on
not,
it right then and
I
there in
call
real time.
right. So, and sometimes people, look at that as, oh, they're mean or they're rude. But would you rather me not? I think people know when, my friends know that they're my good friends and I'm close to them. And it's not like I'm not friendly to people I don't really care to be friends with, but I'm not a fake person.
Definitely
Um
not.
and I will call out my friends. If so, I think the drama thing just comes from people not wanting to
To confront each
but
other.
they still have issues with the way their friends are, and they don't do anything about it, and they're still friends with these people. So then it just kind of,
And do you think
then
that
there's issues.
goes into business also? That
Yeah,
applies not just in personal lives. It's, people talking behind each other's back in organizations and
yeah,
backstabbing instead
yeah.
of confronting.
So I think it's just a way to work on your communication. There's a way you can say things to people if you have an issue with something they're doing without making it
Don Miguel
mean or
Ruiz, The Four Agreements. Easy read, everybody. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't make any assumptions. And of course, always do your best. So we're
yes.
always doing our best from whatever level of consciousness we are. You
That was a
know,
good book.
Anyway, that's
But
a
yeah, so I think it's that really. There's a way you can communicate with people without coming across like a horrible person, and kind of just communicating it in a way that you want to solve the problem,
and so
basically.
much is in the energy, is in the
Yeah.
delivery. So there's the words, but there's also in the delivery.
Yeah.
that makes a big difference.
Right.
I want to go to so you have been in a relationship, super, not common. Not common to start dating at, 16 years old, halfway through sophomore year, right? It's been just over 5 years. And it was about just over a year into your relationship when we had COVID,
Yeah.
lockdown. And so you and Zach were able to probably got close
Yes.
during that time, because then for the next year and a half until you graduated, you're studying together on Zoom. And fortunately, we live in South Florida. So
Right.
we were, swimming pools and outdoor tennis and pickleball in addition to your Zoom classes. But
Yeah.
you weren't allowed to see, a lot of your friends. People weren't able to see each other, but yet
Yeah.
I allowed you
Right.
guys to see each other.
Yeah.
And so
And
it's 5 years later, and long distance college relationship. Kind of
yeah.
stayed open first year to explore. He's at University of Michigan, also a leader. And so the two of you, I just want to acknowledge, I mean, a very, very mature relationship that you have had for 5 years. And here he was able to study abroad too. So super cool for you that you've had a long distance college relationship, and yet he was able to study abroad, and he'll be in New York this summer also working, and see what the future holds. But in critical, these developmental years of 16 to 21, what do you observe? What did the two of you observe? When you look at your own, his parents are divorced also, you see the other couples out there.
Yeah.
And what advice can you give to the adults about how to have successful relationships?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, it has been a long time, and it's crazy. We went through COVID, and that was such an experience. I mean, he was the only person outside of my direct family I was seeing for months.
Yeah.
And, we didn't do much outside of, run outside and watch TV and Zoom. I mean, it was such a crazy time. But yes, we definitely got close through then, and our relationship has stayed so strong since the start. But yes, I think the biggest thing is we just always had kind of a trust just set there. And it was never like a constantly questioning, as I've told you, it's not like constantly questioning where the other person is, what you're doing, the constant nagging about this and that. It's just like okay, we're as long as we're communicating, back to
Yes.
communication
Yeah.
about, what we're doing. If you can communicate effectively, then it works, then you can trust each
Call
other.
when you say you're going to call.
Right.
Be your word.
Right. All of those things. So I think we've always been mature, cared about school, cared about what we were, where we wanted to go to college and what we wanted to do in the future, and had jobs. And I think the two of us separately, looking as individuals, were mature and, disciplined and had our own routines. But together, worked for that reason. We didn't, we don't, neither of us are kind of high maintenance. We like to just chill and do our own things. We go to dinner sometimes, but just,
You both care about fitness.
yes.
You both prioritize academics.
Yes. But I would say back to the COVID thing, is just, it really showed that we really just enjoyed each other's company, because COVID was a whole lot of nothing. I mean, he was the only person I was seeing for that long, and there really wasn't much to do, anywhere to go. So,
But you don't
we
think that
didn't-
was circumstantial to get close, because once things opened up again and you did go away to college, and he went to go pledge a fraternity, you pledge a sorority, and from Ann Arbor to Tallahassee, it's not it's not
Right.
an easy situation. But
Yeah.
so then you have distance now from seeing each other all the time in high school and COVID. Now you go the other extreme.
Yeah. And, so that was,
Back to
so we spent
communication
a
that
lot
keeps
of
it
time.
going.
Right. And once, things were open, we'd still spend a bunch of time together. So, and yeah, now that we're doing the long distance, I think for both of us, it just has gone so smoothly. We balance, having our friends. He has a big group of friends in his fraternity, and I have my friends, and it allows us to focus on those things at school, doing well in school, having our friends and spending time with them, and having a good time, all the things, working out, and then when we get to see each other, that's
And you have the
our,
connection. You have your supporter because thank goodness for technology. I know
right.
when I was in college, there was no FaceTime.
Yeah, so exactly, FaceTiming
Makes a
almost every
huge
night.
difference.
Right.
Yeah.
So communicating, but just, letting each other, enjoy their time and focus on what we
Having
each
your own
have.
individual lives
Right, exactly. So
and the same priorities.
I think it's, I wouldn't change anything, like in a way. Of course, I wish I got to see him more than I do during the school semesters, but I get to focus on other things that are important to me as well. And then it makes the time that I do see him more special. The one or two
Yes.
weekend visits a semester we get to see each other that much more special because of the lack of time, outside of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you and I also spoke about writing a book together for mothers and daughters,
Yes.
which will be really
We need to do
great.
that.
Yes, yes. So we've looked at the outline for that, and so that would be something I think they'd be real supportive. Again, they talk about the mother wound and the father wound, and so many of our issues in life later in life are a result of things that happened in our childhood that impacted us
Yeah.
greatly. And so I don't know if you're going to hopefully not end up in a therapy chair at some point and have to
Hope not.
talk about well, it's not a bad thing, just talking about
way,
my
yeah.
mother, so I hopefully, and I feel like I did a few things right when I
For
look
sure.
at you and see the leader that you and the amazing woman that you've become and the friend and a daughter and a sister and granddaughter and great granddaughter, and so you're
Yes.
amazing and I love you so much, and thank you.
Thank
You
you. I
for
love
coming.
you. This is so fun.
Yes, it was. So it's for sure to be continued. We're in further conversations about what we get to bring to university and to other young women out there in for their leadership. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you.